Princeton. Here on the Princeton campus, the Tigers are idle today. Not the case with Georgetown. The men's lacrosse team has a point to prove for 5 straight years. They made the national quarterfinals 5 straight times they have lost. Johns Hopkins won the 2005 national championship, but failed to make the semifinals last year. At Hopkins, nothing short of a title is satisfactory. May Madness takes over here in New Jersey next. It's the 2007 Men's NCAA Lacrosse Championships, presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. From Princeton Stadium on the Princeton campus, it's the national quarterfinals today. 6-seeded Georgetown takes on the 3-seed Johns Hopkins. The winner hits the road to Baltimore in the national semifinals at M&T Bank Stadium next weekend, just a few miles from the Hopkins campus. Earlier today in Jersey, Cornell and Albany went head-to-head, and what a game we had. 12-11, Big Red won it on an overtime game winner by John Glenn. Cornell now 15-0 on the year. Tomorrow, the second half of the quarters unfold at Navy. Cinderella stories, Maryland, Baltimore County, and Delaware battle for a spot in Baltimore. That old Tobacco Road rivalry, Carolina-Duke meet for a third time this year. Duke is 2-0 so far. Hello, college lacrosse fans. Welcome back to Princeton. Dave Ryan, Mark Dixon alongside. Whew, what a game, partner. The first one won by Cornell, a thriller in overtime. We'll see more defense in game 2, and really Georgetown is thinking about trying to get over the bugaboo of losing every year in the quarters. It's been 5 straight seasons.
5 straight seasons, Dave. The hurdle seems to be the biggest one for the Georgetown Hoyas is this quarterfinal round matchup. They look to get the monkey off their back today against Johns Hopkins.
Let's take a look at the key players to watch. Presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. We've got offense and defense. Brandon Kennett had the game winner last week against Princeton for Georgetown.
The ECAC Offensive Player of the Year, Dave Petramala calls him a special player. Andrew Boccaccio, the freshman midfielder, has provided a spark. And Jerry Lamb is the ECAC Defensive Player of the Year, very physical. For Johns Hopkins, Stephen Boyle, the freshman out of New Hampshire, continues to impress and progress. Paul Rabel, the Tewaaraton finalist, one of the best players in the country. And Stephen Pizer has been unstoppable at the faceoff square as of late for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
First round Georgetown win over Princeton last week in D.C., led by the rookies, Andrew Boccaccio and Craig Dowd. They were tremendous in the first round, had 6 of the 9 goals.
And along with Scott Kostas and defenseman Barney Ehrman, the Georgetown freshmen have been nothing but impressive.
Paul Rabel, always impressive for Johns Hopkins. He probably will win the Midfielder of the Year in NCAA Division I lacrosse. 2-2 last week, 4 points against Notre Dame in the first round.
Typically always saves his best for last. A key player at crunch time, scores big goals at critical moments in the largest games. Paul Rabel, the Tewaaraton finalist, leads this Blue Jay team.
He's won 2 games in overtime this year, and last week, each team had an overtime thriller to experience. Georgetown beat Princeton. Hopkins beat Notre Dame, thanks to a tally from the freshman midfielder, Michael Kimmel. So the scene is set. Georgetown, Johns Hopkins, a spot in the semifinals on the line.
What if kids didn't have what it takes to play sports? No game-winning goals. No buzzer beaters. Thanks to charitable donations by Dick's Sporting Goods Community Youth Sports Program, this year, over 1 million kids will get the chance to play. And their biggest fans, including parents like us, will get the chance to cheer them on.
Will that light stay yellow for 3 seconds? Or 6? If the tire shreds, where will it land? Uncertainty on the road can lead to an accident. Now Allstate offers a little extra protection. Accident forgiveness. Starting the day you have it, your rates won't go up just because of an accident. It's time to make the world a better place to drive. That's Allstate stand. Are you in good hands?
Doc, I can't stop. It's always one more hit, one more score. Kids stare at us in the street. I thought it would stop after college. But now at the MLL, people want to know how much they weigh and what they feel like. It's bad enough when I just had one. But with 4, it's out of control.
Have you ever considered removing them?
Guys, we're out of here. She's a quack.
Dude, you're addicted to what your stick did.
The NCAA Lacrosse Championships, presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. Back here on the beautiful Princeton campus, we are getting set for Hopkins, Georgetown. Paul Rabel and the Blue Jays red hot, a 6-game win streak coming in. And they come off an 11-10 overtime win over Notre Dame. Rain, wind, lightning on a game winner by the freshman Michael Kimmel. We spoke with Rabel yesterday. Very excited to lead young players like Stephen Boyle, Michael Kimmel back to the national semis and experience what he did as a freshman back in '05, led by greats Chris Watson and Kyle Harrison.
Yeah, Paul Rabel had the opportunity as we take a look at the starting goaltenders in this one. Miles Cass and Jesse Schwartzman both have been pretty inconsistent in 2007. They'll both need to step up big time today to help their team advance to Baltimore. But Rabel had a chance to learn at the feet of Kyle Harrison and Greg Pizer, Chris Watson, now returning the favor, educating players such as Kimmel and Boyle on the offensive side of the field.
Dave Petramala, the Hopkins alum, and one of the most intense people you will ever meet.
The only player in the history of lacrosse to win a national championship as a player and as a coach. Dave Petramala looking to return his Blue Jays to the national semifinals.
He goes head-to-head with Dave Urich in his 27th overall year after 10 times winning the Division III national championship. All 10 years he was in Geneva, New York as the head coach of Hobart. Stephen Pizer in the home whites wins the opening draw in the X, head-to-head with Kristen Truns of Georgetown in the visiting dark uniforms. We are underway, first possession of this national quarterfinal.
Stephen Pizer's been on fire in the last 5 games for Johns Hopkins. He's winning faceoffs at a 69% clip. So the wing play for Georgetown will be critical here today.
Paul Rabel carries first possession.
The keys for Hopkins to win: defuse Cannon, Brendan Cannon, the talented attackman, and handle the Hoya pressure, not only defensively, but when the Hoyas dodge, they're very punishing, especially that big athletic midfield.
Kevin Huntley works for Kimmel, had the thrilling game winner last week. First possession in overtime for Johns Hopkins against Notre Dame. What a finish that was in regulation. 10 seconds left. On a goal by Ryan Hoff. Brian Hubschman fed him, and he redirected essentially in one motion to beat Jesse Schwartzman and tie the game in dramatic fashion for the Irish. But Johns Hopkins survived in overtime.
And right away, Dave, Johns Hopkins being hit with a stall warning. This game is only a minute old.
Wow. Got to keep it in the box outside the blue lines. They lose possession. Huntley charging in with a quick shot. And Miles Cass got a piece of that one. Jake Byrne a battle for it on the far side. Byrne a big game last week against the Irish in the first round. He is a senior. And one of the all-time great Hopkins goal scorers. Off for Boyle. Another possession for the Blue Jays.
And Hopkins will again have to keep it in. A change of possession would have taken that stall warning off, but now that stall warning will be off with the change of possession to Georgetown.
Greg Stevenson, good work with a long stick, plays back for Miles Cass. The goaltender for Georgetown will tell you his interesting story, what he did last summer. Didn't just hang out playing lacrosse with the boys. It was much more in-depth than that.
Here we see the keys for Georgetown. This team gets a lot of shots. They have to hit the cage and make Schwartzman make saves. And again, controlling faceoffs. Their wing play and their work of the faceoff men are critical to the Hoya success. And a great start for Miles Cass, saving that in-close shot by Kevin Huntley.
So here are the Hoyas, led by Trevor Casey in the offensive end. Quick shot put right on, whistled wide of Schwartzman. Garrett Wilson, the senior from Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia. Shooting there for his coach, Dave Urich. And we spoke to Coach Urich, some of his players this week, about the trouble they've had in the quarterfinals. He said, I'm someone who looks at the glass as being half full. Cannon, excellent check from behind. He gets hit by Evans, ball loose on the ground. And a push call against Johns Hopkins. Georgetown keeps it. So the coach said, look, I'm not going to worry about the last 5 years. I can't change that now. I wish I was, in fact, in the semis in other years. Like this guy, Dave Petramala, who won the title in '05.
Yeah, and Dave Urich is
Casey Wines shoots, missed it with the left hand.
Dave Urick so relaxed. He's been around for such a long time. Hard to believe he's been at Georgetown for 18 years. But Urick knows that there's his detractors out there that feel like the Hoyas can't break through that ceiling of the quarterfinals, but he doesn't lose any sleep over it.
Cannon spin dodge move. Wilson, top of the box, goes to the left hand, switches hands to the right hand cradle here. And here's Trevor Casey. Watched by Miller, shut down last week against Princeton. Excellent defense of the Tigers, led by their goalie, Alex Hewitt. Shot, score! Didn't take long for the freshman Andrew Brancaccio to get it going right where he left off in the first round against Princeton.
They call him the Bronco, the freshman out of Georgetown Prep. Likes to primarily move with his right hand. That time he takes it left-handed. Looks like the Blue Jays were going to give him that left. And just a very nice high-to-low shot. Beats Jesse Schwartzman, non-stick side. Terrific start for the freshman out of Georgetown Prep, his 20th of the season.
His first assist of his Georgetown career came last week. He was 2-1 for 3 points against Princeton. Got a lot of razzing from teammates of just having the goals and no assists. His first ever NCAA playoff games and 3 goals so far in just 1 game plus for Andrew Brancaccio. Procedure call against Pizer in the face-off X. Georgetown gets it back.
When he gets that full head of steam, Dave, he's thinking shoot first and pass second. But with that assist, he's shown he can display some vision. And here we see Stephen Pizer called for a procedure. He was called for a number of procedures late in the season.
Brennan Cannon has an issue with his helmet, and the on-field official will make the adjustment. Brendan's brother Pete was a captain on the 06 Georgetown team. Pete now works in pharmaceuticals in Baltimore. He and Brendan very close. Brendan told us this week for years they played together, junior lacrosse growing up, high school, and of course here at Georgetown. So this is the first season the Cannons have been apart, and it's been tough on Brendan not having his best friend around. They speak 2 to 3 times a week, and Pete is here in person to watch. Diagnos shot. Hit the turf, the artificial surface here, and it's backed up by Cannon. A fresh possession for Georgetown.
Nice save by Schwartzman. It's worth noting that there was a downpour for about 3 or 4 minutes here at Princeton prior to the face-off, so that ground is a little slick, and we can see that bounce shot really jump up and bit Schwartzman, but he was able to fight it off.
Bocklet all over Jake Samperton. So back in 05 when Pete Gannon was on this Georgetown team, he played in this very stadium. They lost to Maryland 9-8 in overtime in the national quarterfinals. So the Cannon family tries to go to the semis. Georgetown hasn't been since '99. Trouble there, Diagnos with a handle. Excellent defense by Hopkins in its own end. Molinari can't track it down along the sideline, turnover, and the Blue Jays a chance to clear it.
Great defensive pressure. The slap check causes the turnover. As we look at some statistics as we enter into this quarterfinal round, NCAA appearances by each team. Johns Hopkins leading the way with their 36th consecutive appearance, but with Syracuse failing to make the field of 16 this year, Georgetown now moves into second place with 11 straight appearances, and Hopkins has the longest active streak in any men's Division I sport. Miami baseball, Michigan hockey, some of the other notables, Arizona basketball, but Hopkins leads the way with those 36 straight appearances.
Wow. First year the NCAA tournament was held, they didn't make it. They made it every year since. 36 and counting. Bryant makes a nice move and scores. Mark Bryant carried all the way around the cage, makes the dodge move to the hole, and ties it at 1.
Nice individual move by Mark Bryant, who's really picked up his game over the last couple of weeks. Not bad defense. The push out by the short stick for the Hoyas. But Chris Taylor, but there you see Bryant just get inside of his man. The slide was a little indecisive there as Craig Stevenson did not go. That allowed Bryant to take that extra step and put it right past Miles Cass. The Blue Jays answer the initial marker by the Georgetown Hoyas.
5th of the year for the sophomore from Niskayuna, New York, near Albany, Capital District. The Albany Great Danes certainly held their own today, didn't they, against Cornell? What a game that was. Lost in overtime. Truns and Pizer again head-to-head. Procedure call goes against Stephen Pizer, the last of the Pizer brothers. Older brother Mike, older brother Greg, both played at Hopkins. Greg won a title in 05. Georgetown on the attack again.
Interesting procedure call, Dave, made by the wing official, Hans Wittelsberger. He saw that Steven Pizer's stick was leaning, and the sticks have to be straight up and down.
Roncaccio's got one already. Here's Casey, switches hands, right hand cradle, trying to get free for a shot. Rips it right on net, and it's stopped by Jesse Schwartzman. His outlet pass comes on the money to Miller. Great play by Schwartzman, the outlet in addition to the sparkling save. Jesse Schwartzman is 7-1 in his career. NCAA tournament games, he won the 05 title. 50-50 ball, it was airborne. Georgetown and Steve Bauer didn't know where it was for a second. Picked up by Cannon at midfield, here he comes. Brendan Cannon on the move. Bauer shoots just wide with the 6-foot ball. What a chance for Steve Bauer to give the Hoyas a lead.
Great ground ball work by the Georgetown Hoyas. Good defense by Braccaccio to create the situation. Cannon then sees the long pole. Bauer inside, great look. But Bauer, I have to say, by that shot, probably not used to having the ball in his stick with a 3-yard attempt. It just goes wide, and a break for the Blue Jays as the Georgetown Hoyas had no backup.
Hundley carries it in. Kevin had 3 assists last week against Notre Dame by his own admission. A very disappointing season for him offensively. 30 goals a year ago. The numbers not there for Kevin Hundley in 07.
30 goals a year ago, 3rd-team All-American honors. Hundley got on track a little bit, but has not been consistent in 2007.
Pizer works it around to Hundley. His dad, Dave, a great midfielder for Hopkins. Rabel shoots, left-handed shot, ripped it wide. A nice discussion yesterday you and I had with Paul Rabel. Very well-spoken young man about his run to another national championship weekend.
Yeah, there we see the attempt by Bauer, just drops his stick, the ball goes wide, but Paul Rabel, a real impressive kid, great player out at DeMatha High School, was lamenting the loss of his DeMatha Stags to the St. Mary's Riken Club for the DC Catholic League Championship, but really leading the way and has taken on a much greater role in terms of leadership with this Blue Jay team, which, much like Georgetown, is very, very young.
Speaking of youth, Kimmel carries here. And I was most impressed with Paul Rabel yesterday. Hello, Mr. Ryan, Mr. Dixon, nice to see you. Mister?
Exactly.
Wow, that's respect. Here he is, top of the box. Goes to the right hand, spins, pass, errant, looking for Byrne. Jake can't handle it. The team jokester of Johns Hopkins roster, Jake Byrne, can't find the ball there, and a turnover gives it back to Georgetown.
That's a play that Rabel and Byrne love to initiate, as Byrne is a pure shooter. He likes to get 10, 12 yards off of the goal, and a quick feed from Rabel, then a one-timer into the net with that sleek shooting motion. But nice defensive pressure for Georgetown. Stick in the gloves of Rabel causes that pass to go awry.
Stevenson with Steve Bauer, and Miles Cass work out of the defensive end. 20 seconds to get it over the line. Another 10 seconds from the midfield line into the box, and Georgetown does just that. Possession continues. Early going, we expect close to the vest defense, physical play, and great goaltending between these two netminders today.
It'll have to be great goaltending. Both Cass and Schwartzman have been inconsistent. Schwartzman to the point that he was pulled late in the season in favor of Michael Gavazdin. The competition was reopened before their regular season finale against Loyola. Schwartzman won the job back and played well last week against Notre Dame in the first round.
Here's Brancaccio, a pass from Trevor Casey. Outside the box, Casey ground ball. He'll find the handle at the football 30-yard line. Wilson tries to make the spin move on Miller. Gets free bounce shot and a warning off call. Goes against Garrett Wilson. Turnover. Hopkins gets it.
In lacrosse, when you're dodging to the cage, you cannot use that free hand to gain advantage. We're going to see it right there, the warding off. And then another one right there as he pushes the stick away of Andrew Miller. The first ward he got away with as he established some space between he and his defender, but the second one took the advantage away of his defender, changing the plane of his stick. So possession over to Johns Hopkins.
Eric Zerlot, crossfield pass, Brendan Skakandi, one of the captains. We spoke with Brendan this week. Excellent leader, wants to be a coach one day. Following the footsteps of Dave Petromala, a very intense, emotional leader. Dave Petromala has become friendly over the last couple years with none other than Bill Belichick, New England Patriots head coach, who's won a couple Super Bowl rings in the last few years. And Coach Belichick has attended Hopkins games and practices. He's got a son who plays himself, headed for Rutgers. Christopher for Bryant, who's got one already. The day before each game, Hopkins seniors will take over offensive and defensive meetings. Candy and Jake Byrne. Sometimes it's Rabel, one of the juniors. But that follows in the footsteps of what Bill Belichick does with the Patriots. Lets the players have involvement. Quick shot ripped wide by Christopher.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Petramala, and he was describing how Bill Belichick lets Tom Brady run the offensive meetings, and I think that's the maturation process of a head coach.
Dabrowski triggers play. It's Huntley, side of the goal. He cannot buy a break. Been a tough year for Kevin Huntley.
Whenever you're comfortable enough to let your players lead some discussion, some initiation of the way things should be, that's a lot of maturity on behalf of the coach and a lot of confidence in your players as well.
Players have really embraced that as well. On the weekly meeting, they'll break it down offense, defense. Christopher carries right-hand cradle. Byrne, Wine shoots and scores. Jake Byrne. First of the day. Hopkins' first lead.
You could see Hopkins wanted that shot desperately. The last 3 times around the cage, they were looking for that little curl pop-off and the right-handed shot. They're attacking to the right of goaltender Miles Cass. There we see Christopher, his first assist of the season. Pass over to Jake Byrne, and Byrne, with time and room against this Georgetown zone defense, is going to be deadly. His 23rd of the season.
Hopkins' second active leading scorer with 108 career points coming in. Very good sense of humor, the senior from Potomac, Maryland, who in years past, as part of a team prank, has put together a bunch of likenesses. Procedure call, and Hopkins gets it along with Jake Byrne. Computer-generated picture likenesses, and he actually sent them to us via email this week. We got a chance to take a look at Dave Petramala, who does in fact resemble Steven Seagal.
Yes.
Among other people.
Tony Soprano is another one that he gets joked about. It's a great check on the sideline by Bauer. Just picks the pocket of Kevin Huntley. Possession over to Georgetown, but some of those pictures, as they see Dave Petramala, AKA Steven Seagal.
He does look like, you got to admit, Jake Byrne has it.
Yeah.
And we spoke with Jake yesterday. I said, did you get the pictures? You're going to use them on the air? Come on. He really loves that kind of thing. A couple of seasons ago, on a soaking wet day at Homewood Field in practice, he came out with a swim cap and goggles for practice. That's the kind of guy Jake Byrne is. Dave Petramala did not allow him to practice with that gear on, mind you, but that's how he came out.
Got a good laugh out of it.
Here's Ben Hostetler, didn't play last week. He's at the top of the box. Molinari works to Sampertz in the right-hand cradle. Tight game. Under 4 to go, first quarter from Princeton. Spin move. Bounce shot, easy save for Schwartzman. Saw that off the stick of Preston Connell.
Beautiful shot inside there. Nice spin move. I think that was Craig Dowd inside, who's such a deft inside player, a midfielder in high school, getting some run on attack now, as Trevor Casey has switched to the midfield for the Hoyas. And Dowd, 3 goals last week against Princeton from that neighborhood, 6 yards and in. He didn't get a whole lot of mustard on it. Schwartzman was able to see it and make the clean save.
Craig Dowd, whose brother Kyle played for Duke on the 05 national championship team. Craig and Scott Kosas of Georgetown were Duke commits. They had committed to play at Duke before the scandal broke last year, and the administration at Duke let them out of their verbal commitments. They went to Georgetown instead, and each have thrived in D.C.
Yeah, they really have. And Dave, you're commenting he's really happy to have them. Just made it an impressive freshman class. Barney Ehrman from Gilman, Georgetown Prep's Andrew Brancaccio, among others, just made a strong recruiting class that much stronger.
Pizer, top of the box. Gets free from Ryan Still. Left-hand shot, stopped by Miles Cass. Ball loose in front. Byrne tries to grab the ground ball. It's Barney Ehrman, just mentioned by Mark. Outstanding freshman. He was everywhere with a long stick last week against Princeton.
Well, Ehrman, the only freshman on the ECAC All-League team, a second-team selection. The son of former Baltimore Colt Joe Ehrman, who played in some big games himself while wearing the horseshoe.
Bartlett tries to find the handle. Flags fly on the far side. We'll have a penalty here.
It's going to be
a 1-minute slash.
A slash, it looks like, against Georgetown. Hans Wittelsberger, the far side official. Excuse me, it's going to be against Johns Hopkins. Here we see right there, Skacandy in the back of Stephen Bauer twice. So the uncontrolled swing and the back check for Brendan Skacandy earns him a minute in the penalty box. Initially, I thought it was a check from Brendan Cannon that caught the eye of Hans Wittelsberger, but it was a repeated chops of Skacandy that earned Georgetown an extra man opportunity.
Boys so far this year, 14 for 68. You can see the ranking with the man up and the man down for Hopkins, winding that shot just wide from Dowd.
And here we're seeing some of Georgetown's woes. A lot of shots. Dave Petromala says they have to limit them to about 35, but the shooting accuracy of Georgetown is not all that impressive. They have to put their shots on cage.
Brancaccio works around the perimeter. Inside they go for Cannon, trying for the dodge move from behind the cage. It's shut down. Excellent defense.
I love the toughness of Brendan Cannon. He's not the biggest player in the world, but he's not afraid to go inside, as we saw last week against Princeton, the game winner in overtime, taking Dan Cocoziello to the cooker.
For the game winner, Brancaccio thought about a shot, goes left hand on the bouncer off the turf, wide of Jesse Schwartzman. Jesse from Owens Mills, Maryland, near Baltimore, won the title in 05, has battled all sorts of controversy this year in the nets for Hopkins. They try to get in front for Casey, quick stick try, instead it comes out, Dowd shot, deflected, gonna be backed up by Georgetown. That was close. Hopkins fans thought perhaps Schwartzman was there to be the closest to it to the end line. If they were, along with Bachlet, Dave Petromala's Jays would take over.
Again, it's closest to the ball when and where it goes out, not closest to the end line.
Here's Brancaccio. Feeds there, and a bounce play for Chase Gahan. He gets some time in the extra man. Dowd for Cannon. Had never scored an overtime game winner in his career, any level. He's in the crease there, but it won't matter. Shot is out, and it's picked up by Evans.
Cannon steps in the crease, but it's a play-on situation since the defense has possession. And on the play on, Hopkins looking to successfully clear it. Andrew Miller, the speed burner, the sophomore, who's really picked this game up as a short stick defensive specialist.
Under a minute to go in our first quarter from Princeton. In the second, we'll be joined by Bill Tierney, head coach for the Princeton Tigers. Unfortunately for him, his Tigers did not make it to the national quarterfinals this year. Ousted by Georgetown, the multi-sport field last weekend on the Georgetown campus. Under 36 to go, first period. Rabel gets by the defense. Nixon went for the overplay. Pizer, left-hand shot, misses the target. And shot again off cage. Been the case with Hopkins on a few of their shots from inside 15 yards.
Much like Georgetown, a very low percentage shooting team at times can be Hopkins. You need to make a goalie like Miles Cass, and Jesse Schwartzman makes saves.
Huntley makes the move to Byrne. The quick stick goal with 6 seconds left in the quarter. Jake's second of this game.
Well, from our mouths to their ears, Dave, Jake Byrne with the second of the afternoon. And Jake Byrne makes a living of just finding open spaces, parking, and then just unleashing that lethal right-hand shot. Nice job by Kevin Huntley, the left-hander, spins back right, finds Byrne open in space, and Byrne has his second of the afternoon.
Dave Petromala telling us this week that when Notre Dame tied last week's first-round game with 9 seconds left in regulation, procedure call goes against Kristen Trunz. Final moments, Jamison Kesterer for Hopkins trying to get off a shot. Feeding Boyle gets nailed from behind for the first 15 minutes. It was Jake Byrne who said, we can win the face-off, and we will get the first opportunity, and someone's going to win it in this huddle. And sure enough, Michael Kimmel did just that for the Blue Jays. Confident leader is Jake Byrne, the senior. He's got 2 goals in the first quarter. 3-1 game. We'll be joined by Bill Tierney on the backside of this break. You're watching the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships.
No curb appeal. Hate the color. Oh, honey, this is it.
What you got there is an infestation.
A
A lot of life happens in your car. Conoco and 76 quality Pro Clean gasolines help clean your engine as you drive.
The pink wasn't so bad.
So you can focus on more important things. Conoco and 76 quality Pro Clean gasolines.
Conflict boils over like an angry sludge. Politicians lie to us like they've got a grudge. We're in a decaying spiral of fevered ferocity.
3 V-dubs for under 17,000. Whoa!
Hope. Spring.
Georgetown comes in against Johns Hopkins with an 8-game win streak. Well, it's their best since '02 when they won 9 straight to begin their season. We're joined by Hall of Fame coach Bill Tierney from Princeton here in the booth. And coach, you just saw Jake Burns second of the first quarter. What were your impressions of the first 15 minutes?
Well, it's Jake's a big game player. He always has been. So he always has been. So he scores big goals all the time. So it's been a great quarter, very similar to our game last week with Georgetown. Georgetown feeling out Hopkins, and Hopkins got some big-time shooters.
And here we see the stats, guys. Shots 11-9 in favor of Georgetown, but again, shots on goal. Georgetown, 6 of the 11 shots were on goal. Saves relatively even. And to start the second quarter, gentlemen, an illegal stick against Johns Hopkins, a 3-minute non-releasable foul. And coach, that's not the way you want to start a quarter.
It really isn't, Mark. With all these stick checks this year, you would think there would be more of these, but there's been a lot less. I think it's done a great job cleaning up the game, and it's rare to see this, especially against the Hopkins team, where they're so disciplined and so, they check this stuff, I'm sure.
New effort by the NCAA to check sticks after several goals are scored this year. Really hasn't delayed the game much, but here trouble. Baird winds, big shot, cranked it on a laser beam wide to the left of Schwartzman. Great opportunity for Georgetown to score as many goals as they can. Baird again thought about a shot. Brancacio's got one already. Chase Gahan, here is Cannon behind the cage, the big hero of last week's game. Brancaccio fake. He will not pull the trigger. 6-on-5 lacrosse here. 3-minute non-releasable penalty.
And since that was a dead ball foul, no face-off, possession immediately over to Georgetown.
Brancaccio stopped by Schwartzman. From 15 yards, that was ripped. And Jesse Schwartzman, who's come up with some huge saves, just one loss in his career in the NCAA playoffs last year up at Stony Brook, Long Island against Syracuse.
Coach, what's the strategy here when you know you're down for 3 minutes, you lose the opportunity to score a goal, now it's on the offensive end? What do you tell your players in order for them to take care of the ball?
Well, you get a lot of positive momentum from holding the ball. You'll see what will happen here is if Georgetown doesn't score and Hopkins is able to kill it, you'll see a real lift to Hopkins. So as positive as it looks for Georgetown to have that man up for 3, if Hopkins is able to kill it, it'll bring them a lot of emotion.
All right, guys, we'll hear more from Bill Tierney in a moment. Here it's 3-1, timeout on the field. Dave Urick and Georgetown trying to continue with a man up. You're watching the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships.
ESPNU brings you college sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The passion, the anticipation, the excitement.
Wide open touchdown.
Every season.
This is for 3. Count it.
Every reason to watch.
That's gonna do it.
Every sport all year round. Tonight, the NCAA Tennis Championships from the University of Georgia. At 7, the women's team final. Then at 10, the men's team final. ESPNU, always in season.
Hey, these guys joined my team and lost weight.
Mike Golick, 51 pounds.
Scott Conover, 100 pounds.
Hey, Marino, I lost 32 pounds.
Get real results with Nutrisystem for men.
My wife told me I'm not as disgusting to her as I used to be.
Call or go online now to get 4 weeks of awesome food. And through this special offer, you'll automatically receive your order once every 4 weeks. And you can get an extra 2 weeks of meals free.
Burgers, pizzas, lasagna, pot roast.
Our secret is the breakthrough science of the glycemic advantage that separates good carbs from bad. Now carbs are no longer off limits.
Nutrisystem worked for me. Trust me, it'll work for you.
About $10 a day gets you 4 full weeks of rib-sticking meals.
Pick up the phone and lose weight.
Order our 4-week men's program and you can get an extra 14 breakfasts, lunches, dinners, and desserts, a full 2 weeks of food absolutely free. Call now to find out how.
3-1, Johns Hopkins has a lead. Here in the second quarter, Jake Byrne, a couple of goals. We're joined by Hall of Fame coach from Princeton, Bill Tierney. To break down the brackets, we saw Cornell coach in a thriller win the earlier game against Albany in overtime. They're off to the national semifinals.
Yeah, good for Cornell. They've had a great year. Coach Tamberni does a great job. It was an exciting game, and Coach Marr should be congratulated for having his team that close to a Final Four.
First ever NCAA win last week for Albany against Loyola. They came just that close to the national semis. Hopkins down a man here in the offensive end. 5-on-6 lacrosse with about 90 seconds to go in this non-releasable 3-minute stick violation penalty.
And after the timeout, Coach Hopkins immediately turns it over. How frustrating is that for a coach? You call timeout and then your club turns it over right away.
Very much so. You know, the timeouts are so limited in our game with the two per half. To take one this early in the second quarter, I'm sure Coach Petramala didn't really want to do that, but he saved the possession, and then to have the ball get lost right away, it just becomes real frustrating. But I think they'll, you know, they're down to 1:15 or so right now. If they can hang in there and keep a 3-1 lead, even a 3-2 lead, you got to feel pretty good about that.
All right, guys, time on the field. We'll take 1-2. 13-15 to go in our first half. It's tight. Hopkins, Georgetown, a berth to Baltimore on the line. You're watching the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships.
The repeat does for under 17,000.
Who first believed in you, listened to your dreams, got you on your way? With City's people and expertise, you have a partner to help you buy that house, start that business, plan a future. We all need a partner that helps turn dreams into realities. City, let's get it done.
Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents Messin' with Sasquatch.
Hey, you want to ride? It's okay. Sorry. We're sorry. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy.
Jack Link's Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Minute 15 left in the non-releasable penalty for Georgetown. EMO extra man opportunity here to try to pull within one against Johns Hopkins in the home white. Georgetown coming off an exciting win over Princeton. Bill Tierney is with us, the head coach, unfortunately for he and the Tigers' defeat last week, but it was a great game to watch. Brancaccio works around the perimeter of the box here. Cannon behind the cage. Dowd, great last week, picked off by Schwartzman. He read that passing lane beautifully, coach, and picked it off.
That's a great, it's a great play. It's big momentum builder there. I don't know why he just chucked it up. He had his defenseman wide open next to him, but there's a lot of pressure on these goalies in these situations, and Jesse's been in a lot of big games, so I'm sure he felt like he just wanted to kill a few more seconds. 30 left in the penalty.
Yeah, man up continues here for Georgetown. They have not been able to cash in at all yet. Really apply much pressure whatsoever to Schwartzman and the Hopkins defense. Dowd, Casey tries to go low. Ball was blocked. Great play defensively by Hopkins in front of the net. Getting right there was Ben O'Neill. Great story with Ben, and a Shakespeare quote we'll tell you about. The new placard outside the Hopkins locker room. Mark, we used to play at Homewood Field. Things have changed a bit with the level of quotations. They're not going with Vince Lombardi or anything. They're going right to William Shakespeare these days.
I think the quotes we used to have were more from Guns N' Roses as opposed to any luminary, so pretty impressive with the Shakespeare reference. But if you're Georgetown, I think, Coach, you're very disappointed. Dave Urich sensed the opportunity to get a score, if not more, by taking that time out. And the Hopkins defense has really buckled itself up and made some key stops here.
They really did, and more so now, Coach Yerk probably looks back and say, okay, forget the goals. I'd rather have the 3 minutes back, you know, because it's because they feel like they need the time. But, you know, it's a long game, and, you know, Georgetown showed last week they're pretty resilient. They'll keep plugging.
Against your Tigers, fabulous game to watch. I know, as we talked about, Bill, in the first game, you really wanted to play in the quarterfinals in your own campus. This is not your regular stadium, Class of 52 stadium is, but what has that been like for the program to endure that tough loss last week?
You know, our kids are, they were very disappointed because they wanted to play here, and very disappointed because we thought we had a chance to win, certainly in those last couple of minutes. But, you know, lacrosse is full of great kids, played at great schools, and we feel like we've got a bunch of them. And at the end of the day, you know, you got to move on, and those losses are tough to take. But the kids bounce back, and you know, we're in finals now, and they move on with their lives. And it's just disappointing at the end because you have some seniors that were great leaders for us that didn't get a chance to play in that Final Four since their freshman year.
Good save from Schwartzman, starts the breakup field. Here's Pizer into the box for Johns Hopkins, joined by Hall of Fame coach Bill Tierney, head coach of the Princeton Tigers. Great players like Peter Trombino, as so many of your fine senior leaders, to see their career end that way, it's tough to watch, I know.
It is, and especially Zach Jungers last week, coming off of 3 weeks of not playing and playing very well, interestingly enough, as a defenseman.
He did play well last week.
He did a great job, but you know, just tough to take. But you know, to Georgetown's credit, they were persevered and they did a great job against us.
Jungers coming off a knee bruise, pretty deep one, that played well for you last week at Georgetown. Attack continues here for Hopkins. Much different game than we saw in game one, which was wide open, so much unsettled play. Defense emphasized here a bit differently between these two teams. Rabel's shot not close, bounced well wide. Comes out for Bryan, here's Pizer. The last of the 3 Pizer brothers, trying to bring home a championship again to that family. Had a sister, Tricia, who played at Lafayette College too. Good ball movement in front. Still comes up with it for Georgetown though. Trying for the tic-tac-toe passing, then he got checked from behind. Excellent ride by Boyle, the freshman.
Great defense by both teams over the last couple of minutes. Georgetown swarming all over the ball, then the impressive ride from the Blue Jays.
Here's Bryan, goal line extended. Pizer cranks, big shot, missed the target. He put a lot of juice behind that one.
Coach, you played both of these teams, Georgetown a week ago, Hopkins back in March. What are the keys for each of the teams? How do you get to Georgetown? Where do you see them giving Hopkins trouble, and then vice versa for the Blue Jays?
Well, I think, you know, what the interesting thing that makes it a good matchup, and it'll keep the score down a little bit, is neither team is really high speed. So Hopkins' defense might be a little slower. They had some tough injuries that lost a couple of kids early in the year.
Kimmel Laverne, who missed the target, not by much, ripping that shot, Coach.
And the same with Georgetown. So you've got two teams that have good offensive players that can score and shoot the ball very well, but neither team is real quick. So they're both very similar, both got great goalies, and you know, my take on it is just maybe Hopkins' experience in this thing might be too much.
Pizer works around for Dewar. It's Boyle, the freshman, sends it wide, backed up by Tommy Dewar. Makes his move, shoots and scores! The sophomore from New Jersey in his home state makes it 4-1.
Well, with the emergence of Stephen Boyle, Tommy Dewar has been the odd man out for the Johns Hopkins attack unit, but he comes in to spell the talented freshman every now and again. As it looks like he's taking the place of Kevin Huntley. He just picks up the air pass, comes around the goal, rocker step from his left back to his right. Coach, you have to love players who have their roles adjusted but still come to play every single game.
Well, you know, Tommy comes in right there, and is a whole different player from Huntley, and you can see the Georgetown kids were trying to look at the different matchups, and he's a guy who can take the ball and go from behind as he just did, whereas Huntley's more out front, more of a wing dodger and a shooter. So it might have messed around with Georgetown's defensive assignments, and all of a sudden somebody who's supposed to be playing an off-ball guy is covering the ball behind and then gets a step on him.
Well, Coach, after Brancaccio got it going for Georgetown, about 3 minutes into our game, 4 straight goals now. 3 in the first, now 1 in the second for Johns Hopkins. Bryan brings it to the offensive end. Georgetown in need of a spark here. They've had plenty of possession time, but the Bill haven't really cashed in.
Really, and now you're seeing Hopkins go to the invert game, which was successful for us last week, which kind of disrupts Georgetown's defensive thinking. They can't put as much pressure on you on the ball, which they like to do, and they got to drop way in. And what Hopkins has that we didn't have is they got 3 outside shooters out there that can really cause damage from 14 or 15 yards.
Spencer Gantsutis draped all over Bryan. And the Blue Jays very patiently set things up with their offense. Under 7.5 to go in our first half. Stick got a little bit high there. Thought there might be a penalty, no call. Ball is loose. Ehrman with the long hair and the long stick. Flailing it around. He was a factor last week, Coach, against you. He seemed to be everywhere on the field, Barney Ehrman.
Barney's is a great athlete. He's got long arms and long legs, and you think you shake him, and all of a sudden he's got his stick in there again. He played great against us.
Aggressive play from each side. Taylor trying to come up with a ground ball. Cannon the same along with Baird for Georgetown. Can anyone find possession? Samperton can't get a clean handle on. Nice play on a little back check on Bachler, who is dumped. Ball is at midfield. Finally a possession for Johns Hopkins, and wild exchange from side to side. Christopher, quick shot, sent it wide, backed up by Stephen Boyle. Jerry Lamb, the all-ECAC defenseman, all over him.
Some good physical play. Look at the nice butt dig check by Barney Ehrman. Just picks the pocket of Brian Christopher, who I think was a little gassed after that end-to-end action.
Christopher heads off. He looks tired. Play on hold goes against Ehrman and Georgetown, so Hopkins re-triggers here. In the person of Steven Pizer. Another subplot with this game, a scrimmage last year. Pizer had his jaw broken by Jerry Lamb, number 3 in the dark uniform for Georgetown. We spoke with Jerry this week. He said he called Steven in the hospital to apologize about it. Felt there wasn't any bad blood, but some of the Hopkins folks remember it. On the move, Kimmel's shot is wide. And Coach, what about that? You have an injury in a preseason game. It was an aggressive hard hit, according to Lamb. How hard is it to move on for each side in that instance?
You know, I think especially when you don't play the team in the regular season and all of a sudden it jumps out in front of you that, oh, by the way, we're playing you next week. You look for anything emotional that can get your team going. Coach Petramala is one of the best in the game at finding reasons for his team to be excited and motivated and to win. So I'm sure it was brought up this week, but I know Steven Pizer is the kind of young man that moves on in life. He had a great season, and good for him. It was a devastating injury for Hopkins last week, but he's bounced back and had a great year.
He sure has. Several games last season because of that. In front they go. Hundley had a chance, and it trickles in. Finally a goal for Kevin Huntley. Cass got a piece of it, not enough. 5-1.
Perhaps nobody in the country more talented around the goal, keeping the stick in his dominant hand. For Kevin Huntley, it's his left hand, and scoring a goal in such tight spaces. This is a perfect example. Paul Rabel down low. Look at Huntley, just basically sets his feet and makes himself a little bit taller. And coach, the hard bounce shot. Kevin Huntley, when he gets that close to the goal, you think a lot of guys will change hands to get a better angle, but he always keeps that stick in the left.
No, it's, a couple of things going on here. Miles Cass is an explosive goalie in and around the goal. He likes to jump out and take his stick and cross it over his face, and Kevin did the right thing by bouncing the ball there. And secondly, again, we're seeing the Canadian influence in both these games, and I know Kevin's born and bred in the United States, but his dad is a great Canadian player, and he's got a lot of Canadian influence there, and you're going to see more and more of this in our game.
Dad David, a 3-time All-American at Hopkins, won the McLaughlin Award, top midfielder. 2-time national champ in 78-79 for the Blue Jays. 100 goals, which is a record for midfielders at Hopkins. That's something.
Kevin also
family tradition there.
Kevin starred for the Canadian under-19 national team a couple summers ago, led them to a silver medal.
Yeah, Kevin has dual citizenship, I think, and and he's a heck of a player, that's for sure.
Christopher loses the handle on the end line, and a turnover gives Georgetown the ball back. Chance for a clear. How about the Blue Jay partner on the helmet? What are we seeing today?
Got the new set of cascades for the Blue Jays, and they have a sticker of the old Blue Jay cartoon drawn up by longtime Hopkins cartoonist Neil Grauer. A lot of Blue Jay alums have tattoos of the cartoon Blue Jay.
How about you? Do you have a tattoo?
I have a tattoo, but it's not of the cartoon Blue Jay.
Here's Kostas carrying it in.
Sorry, Mom.
The Agnes works for Kostas, another one of the huge Georgetown freshmen at 6'4", 200+ pounds. Right-hand cradle lost the handle. Good defense for Hopkins. That ball thrown to no one. Coach Tierney, I'm interested in your take about Dave Urick and recruiting. We asked Coach Urick this week about some of the size he's bringing in. These kids are huge. He said when he faced your team last week during warm-ups, he said, well, Princeton's huge too.
Well, you know, it's getting to a point where so many kids are playing now. You know, lacrosse used to be known as the game where it was still a game the little guy could play, and that is still true. If you have a small, quick guy who's slick, like the kid Levine in the last game from Albany, there's still room for those guys. But when you have so many choices in recruiting now, and you take a look at two kids that are pretty equal, and all of a sudden one of them 6'3", 6'4", 210 pounds, you know, human nature is to go that route. And you're right, those Georgetown middies pretty big, and we're all getting these bigger guys, and it's changing the game a little bit.
Pizer outside the box. He's left the box, has 10 seconds to get back in, which he does. Sets from the top of the field. Size, great goaltending, equipment certainly coach has changed over the years. The evolution of the game. And a timeout in the field by Dave Petramala with 2:49 to go in our first half. And Coach Petros says, come here, son. Well, Coach Tierney, we have to recap last week's game. Are you ready? It was an exciting one for your team. I know you wanted to come away with a victory to host the quarterfinals. Multi-sport field in Washington, a game of runs that led to lead changes, and finally we had overtime. The freshmen for Georgetown were tough against you, Coach.
They were, and you know, it's a game by the time the season gets to an end. You know, they're not freshmen or seniors anymore. They're just great players, and you know, it was an amazing game, and we just felt, you know, disappointed we didn't get the one at the end of the regulation that would have put it out of being in overtime.
31 seconds in, Brendan Cannon, the game winner, first in his career at any level, he told us, Bill, this week. I probably don't want to hear that much, but that's how it ended for you last week. And really a great season. Alex Hewitt, too, another player we haven't talked about, your great goaltender. What kind of season did he have in your mind?
Alex had another fabulous season. Had it been his first season, I think everybody would be just marveling at the kid. But as a sophomore, he had a phenomenal season as well, first-team All-American. And so he raised his own standards, and I think he reached that. Again, he would be the first one to blame himself for the loss last week because he's the last line of defense. But he had another fabulous year. He's a great leader, and thankfully we have him back for another next year.
Pleased to be joined by Bill Tierney, Hall of Fame coach at Princeton. His Tigers falling last week to these Georgetown Hoyas in overtime by 1.
How about the flow of this game, Coach? The last couple of minutes, Georgetown doesn't seem to have any real cohesion offensively. Defensively, they're doing a pretty nice job of getting the ball on the carpet, but this is kind of how Hopkins gets to you, slowly but surely.
Yeah, I thought Georgetown last week made a big change in their style against us, and it worked for them. And then they had the dilemma this week of deciding whether do we stay with a little bit of a slowdown and try to beat Hopkins methodically, or do we go back with our run and gun style? And I think today, because Hopkins is playing so solidly defensively and getting a goal here and there, it's kind of got Georgetown a little confused. Soon you'll see them start to pick it up. If they don't do it now, they'll do it in the second half, and they'll start taking more chances.
Rabel pass in the move for Byrne. His stick knocked away. A good play by Taylor. And here they come. Hoyas on the move the other way. Trying to make something happen with a long stick. Clayton Hall. Georgetown has seen Hopkins score 5 in a row after Brancaccio's tally. The icebreaker 3 minutes into our first quarter. Since then has been all Hopkins. Can Georgetown, Bill Tierney, in your opinion, turn this thing around?
Yeah, I think they can. A lot's going to come into come up to the face-off game, where it looks to me like Hopkins is going to be a little bit dominant there. But we'll see. They've got big kids. They can shoot the ball pretty well. Cannon hasn't done much yet. Credit to Evans for shutting them down. And we'll see what happens.
Good recovery by Miller. Brancaccio feeding instead. In front he goes. Great play. Wilson is robbed. Garrett Wilson stopped by Schwartzman on a feed by Brancaccio. Looked like they'd have their second goal. 8th save of the day for Jesse Schwartzman.
What a nifty look inside from Brancaccio, and a great foot save by Jesse Schwartzman. There we see 8 for Schwartzman on the day. And coach, those are the types of plays that Hopkins expects out of their senior netminder, the MVP of the 2005 NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think Jesse would be the first one to say he hasn't had a stellar year, but you know, again, you get a kid like that who's been experienced in the playoffs, he's going to come up big. You know, and Brancaccio passing the ball like he did might have been a little surprise to Hopkins, because he got his first assist of the year against us last year, and that would have been his second. So, you know, they may have gotten caught up high a little bit, but a great save by Jesse to keep it tight.
Had 14 saves, guys, last week in the first round win over Notre Dame in overtime. Christopher regains. Under a minute to go in our first half. Spin dodge move. Finds Boyle. Freshman from Derry, New Hampshire. Lamb, excellent work with a 6-foot pole. Bodies everywhere. And the push call again against Georgetown. Warrior Lacrosse halftime report. We'll talk about the Final Five. 3 on the field today between these two games. The Tewarton Trophy, the Heisman of college lacrosse. Driving in, shot, and a score. Huntley's got his second of this first half with just 20 seconds to go in the first.
Huntley is deceptively quick. He's not the most fleet of foot, but what he does is he uses his body and his stick skills to its fullest advantage. There you see him just get inside, and it looked like, Coach, you may have been able to call a dive on that one as Huntley left his feet on his own, landed in the crease, but the referees are going to say that he was pushed, and they allowed a goal to stand.
Yeah, that's always the toughest call in the game. He did leave his feet, but the defender had a stick under his arm, which probably prevented anybody from worrying about a dive, because they would have called the push anyway.
He got hit hard, too, to boot afterwards. Cass ran right into him while trying to make the save. Here is still under 10 seconds to go for Georgetown. It has been all Hopkins since the Brancaccio tally to begin play. And that'll do it. 30 minutes complete. Thanks so much to Bill Tierney, Princeton coach. We appreciate your time, Bill. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great to see Coach Tierney here on his campus. 6-1 Hopkins. Huntley's 2 tallies. 2 from Jake Byrne as well. And Dave Urick's team is in a heap of trouble trying to avoid another quarterfinal loss. Could it be their 6th straight? Hopkins is thinking about the national semifinal. After all, their campus is in Baltimore, and this is the road to Baltimore. You're watching the NCAA lacrosse quarterfinals. Great to see you, sir. Thank you.
Russell Athletic, ESPN Arena Football, Mondays, all season long on ESPN2.
Title contenders from the nation's top schools compete on the court. The NCAA Men's Tennis Championships, today at 3 on ESPNU.
Delaware does battle with longtime lacrosse powerhouse Johns Hopkins. Then Cornell faces off against #1 seeded Duke. Division I NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship. Semifinal action begins Saturday at noon on ESPN2.
Hey, these guys joined my team and lost weight.
Mike Golick, 51 pounds.
Scott Conover, 100 pounds.
Hey, Marino, I lost 32 pounds.
Get real results with Nutrisystem for men.
You know, my wife told me I'm not as disgusting to her as I used to be.
Call or go online now to get 4 weeks of awesome food. And through this special offer, you'll automatically receive your order once every 4 weeks. And you can get an extra 2 weeks of meals free.
Burgers, pizzas, lasagna, pot roast.
Our secret is the breakthrough science of the glycemic advantage that separates good carbs from bad. Now carbs are no longer off limits.
Nutrisystem worked for me. Trust me, it'll work for you.
About $10 a day gets you 4 full weeks of rib sticking meals.
Pick up the phone and lose weight.
Order our 4-week men's program and you can get an extra 14 breakfasts, lunches, dinners, and desserts, a full 2 weeks of food absolutely free. Call now to find out how.
This halftime report is presented by Warrior, the means to dominate. Been a lot of fun spending time on the beautiful Princeton campus here in New Jersey. And enjoying himself is Kevin Huntley as well for Johns Hopkins. He's 2-1 for 3 points. He and Jake Byrne, a couple of goals. 5 different players for Hopkins have at least 1 point. And for Georgetown, just Andrew Brancaccio has 1 unassisted goal. He had the icebreaker to make it 1-0. 6 straight goals for Johns Hopkins. So, Mark Dixon, the question is, what can Georgetown do to get things going again? Otherwise, they avoid, if they can't get it going, they'll have a 6th straight loss in the national quarterfinals.
Well, I think Bill Tierney hit it right on the head. They have to start controlling some of the face-offs, winning the battle at the square, and then just taking some efficient shots on the offensive end. Here we see some of the highlights from the first half. Brancaccio gets the Hoyas off in grand style with the unassisted goal, but Mark Bryant gets inside the Hoya defense. And then we see Brian Christopher lay it off to Jake Byrne. The beautiful shot puts Hopkins up 2-1. Huntley with his only assist of the game to Jake Byrne, the sniper out of Bethesda, Landon School. Tommy Durr comes in and gets a score right there. And there we see Huntley with a nice bounce shot off the feed from Paul Rabel. And then Huntley with his second of the afternoon, the aggressive play in close to the crease. 6-1 Hopkins at the break. Georgetown needs to make some adjustments. And I think that man right there made critical saves. Miles Cass was let a couple past him. I think Jesse Schwartzman's goalie play is a big reason why Hopkins is leading 6-1.
He's 7-1 in his career in NCAA tournament games. He's won a national championship. He's been there before. He's 30 minutes away from the national semis. 6-1 Hopkins at the half.
Having you here.
22 minutes. Beat that.
You're on.
Zip through your yard work with today's most innovative new mowers from the Home Depot. Like John Deere, Toro, and Cub Cadet's ingenious new zero turning radius mower. An exclusive lineup all under one roof.
The Home Depot. You can do it, we can help.
Good luck, buddy.
Conflict boils over like an angry sludge. Politicians lie to us like they've got a grudge. We're in a decaying spiral of fevered ferocity.
3 V-dubs for under 17,000. Whoa!
Hope springs.
Welcome back to the NCAA Lacrosse Championships coverage presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We are getting set to start the second half here at Princeton. Dave Ryan, Mark Dixon, our entire crew. Second of 2 exciting quarterfinal games. First game could not have been more of a thriller. Cornell won it in overtime over Albany. Hopkins in the home whites, a procedure call against Stephen Pizer in the faceoff. X head-to-head with Christian Truns to begin the third quarter. So Georgetown and the Dark Unis. Chance here, their first possession. Mark, can they get back in the game?
They have to, and I think that that goes without saying, but they just have to get some better shots on cage, more offensive flow. And let's not forget about the 3-minute stick penalty. Bill Tierney talked about it, how it can galvanize your defensive team if you kill it off. Hopkins was able to do that. Jesse Schwartzman made some nice saves, but Georgetown is down, but they're certainly not out. They've got the offensive firepower to make a run at the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
We're glad to be joined by the Hall of Fame coach from here at Princeton, Bill Tierney, in the first half. Here's Casey. Left-handed cradle and a rip shot off cage again. That's been a big factor with Georgetown. They have not been on the mark with their shots. Here are the numbers after 30 minutes.
Well, the shots on goal even for both ball clubs, but there we see the difference in saves and Hopkins winning the face-off battle. But there we see 6 unanswered goals. Georgetown has not scored a goal now in about 28 minutes.
Wilson the feed to Samperton. Jake held off the scorebook, as was everyone else, with the exception of Brancaccio in the first half. Unassisted goal. That's it. 27+ minutes now for Georgetown without a goal. This is not an offensively minded team anyway. They play good team defense. They rely on Miles Cass, their goaltender, to make big saves, and shots and passes like that won't help. Brancaccio can't reach it. Turnover. Hopkins gets it.
A poor execution, just a bad exchange passes. We take a look at Dave Urich. We talk about the tough time and the futility of Syracuse in this quarterfinal round. Of course, they beat Duke in 1999 to advance to their first and only Final Four. But then you look at the flip side, like a Syracuse team. Once the Orange get to the quarterfinals, it's almost a given that they're going to advance to the Final Four. They haven't lost that game in 23 attempts. But with Georgetown, it's the exact opposite. 1 for 7, and their last 5 they've lost. And unless they can turn things around, they'll be packing their bags for Hilltop this evening, and their season will be over.
Back in '99, the Hoyas lost to Syracuse in the national semifinals at College Park, Maryland, and they actually made it past this round.
It's a terrific team. Greg McCavra, Scott Urick, part of that attack unit. Brian Hull in the nets.
Rabel's shot, bouncer. Cass looked behind him, but he has it. Able to scoop it up just before it crossed the goal line for another Hopkins tally. Rabel did have 1 assist in the first half for the 1 point.
And it's a great start for the second half from Miles Cass. A save, get him into the game early. And it was a tough save. It was a nice shot by Rabel.
Long outlet pass, Barney Ehrman. Able to forward the ball, and it comes to Still. Taylor works for Cannon. Brendan Cannon, the game winner last week. And his brother Pete in the stands, trying to make his move. In front they go. Comes low, Still, shoots, scores! Ryan Still has his first of the day, and perhaps some much-needed momentum for the Hoyas.
Well, when you go through a time when you haven't scored a goal for an extended amount, it's always good to get that icebreaker. And here we see Cannon, and things have to start with him. The feet in the crease, it goes awry, reminiscent of the game winner Kevin Lowe scored against Virginia in the 1994 National Championship game. The initial feed was deflected. The ball went out to Ryan Still, opportunistic. Great job of setting his feet, picking his spot in the net, and delivering a beautiful high-to-low shot. That's a big goal for Georgetown.
We were told by Brendan Cannon and Jerry Lamb this week, we spoke with the 2 Georgetown players, that the Hoyas have instituted a playoff beard policy, much like the NHL does. And, of course, teams of the NHL playoffs now in the conference finals. Well, you get this far into the playoffs for lacrosse, the beards are pretty thick there. And Ryan Still, we're told, has one of the best beards on the team. It was also his idea to get it going. The best belongs to Ricky Mirabito, a freshman, who apparently there's just so much hair between the hairline and the neckline, you just don't see any skin.
It's not a pretty sight checking out Mirabito at practice yesterday, but you know, at this time of year, it's team building, it's unity, and Georgetown's decided to grow playoff beards, and luckily the weather is not that hot today here in Princeton.
Pretty cool day. We had a little rain before game 2. Temperatures in the mid to high 50s today. Here's Kosas, the 6'4" freshman, top of the box. Works that to Hostetler. And yes, he is related to Jeff Hostetler, the former NFL quarterback. Samperton behind the cage. Comes counterclockwise. Kosas winds his shot. Schwartzman has a stop on Scott Kosas. Big save for the Blue Jays.
Nice job by Schwartzman, who's brought his A game to Princeton. The only other 2 times Hopkins has played on this property, 1981 against North Carolina, lost in the national championship game 14-13, and 1994 NCAA quarterfinals against Princeton, lost in overtime. So right now, Hopkins looking in good shape of getting a win, but they still got a lot of time left in this ballgame.
Huntley loses his man. Bauer went for the check, couldn't get it. Great save, Cass. Able to absolutely rob on the move, George Castle. The defensive short stick midi out there for Johns Hopkins. Offensively ripped that shot right on net.
Well, not a good decision by George Castle. It was a decent shot, decent shot with the execution, but if I'm a short stick defensive specialist, I'm probably taking a couple more steps in, get a higher percentage shot, or dump it off to a teammate.
Canada spin, a pass instead of a shot. Brendan has been completely shut down in this game. Miller and Samperton come together. A lot of contact to the far side as well. Bodies everywhere. Michael Evans going for it. Flags fly. Will have a penalty when they unpile the scrum over there on the far 15-yard line.
Still scores the last goal, and here he's going to draw the foul. It's going to be a tripping violation against Johns Hopkins. As Dave Petramalo looks on, a lot of times you think about incidental contact and use a play-on mechanism as an official, but the flag was out. Actually, it looks like they're going to call a push for a 30 seconds, so you find somewhere in between as Matt Bachman took out the feet of Still. Here we see the ground ball. Still picks it up right there, and the stick was already in the lane of running for Still. It's still a violation, though. You take away the man advantage, so a 30-second push call.
Brancaccio, top of the box, forgot the ball. He was setting up for a big crank shot, instead lost it. Brennan Candy, the team's captain, grabs it. Byrne on the move. Tremendous stick work by Jake Byrne to grab that. Ball was behind him.
Brancaccio, Dave, scored that first goal of the game, but ever since then he's been a little fundamentally off, mishandling some feeds, making some bad passes on his own.
Stephen Boyle brings it to the offensive end. Boyle, a great freshman. He and Michael Kimmel are roommates. The two super frosh for Hopkins. During the fall ball season last autumn, they were telling each other, boy, it'd be great if we got in the game late, maybe a reserve role, maybe a couple ground balls, you know, some GBs on our stats, and maybe a goal or two. Well, they're both key players, and Kimmel won the Hopkins first-round playoff game with Notre Dame last week in overtime. They are more than just role players. They've got significant roles this year. Here's Rabel, top of the box.
Stephen Boyle has brought a component to the Hopkins offense, which arguably they've been lacking over the last couple of seasons. That's a quarterback and a dodging attackman, someone who can initiate as a feeder, but also be a threat to go in and score, something they sorely lacked a year ago. Stephen Boyle filling that role nicely as a freshman for the Blue Jays.
Has he ever? Here's Pizer outside the box. Here in Kimmel, we just talked about, into the offensive end. Baltimore area product. Boyle is from Derry, New Hampshire, where he set state records there in scoring. Telling us he was following the UNH season.
Hopkins has been hit with a stall warning, so the Blue Jays are forced to keep it in. 8:17 left to go in the third period.
Kimmel spins, shoots, and scores. Michael Kimmel keeps the playoff roll going. The freshman has his first of the day.
Kimmel was an attackman at Loyola High School, teammates with Andrew Baird from Georgetown. And there we see just some nifty footwork and not a lot of pressure from the Georgetown defender, Ryan Still. He allows Kimmel to get some decent space to set his arms free and extend them fully, and he puts a nice high-to-high laser past Miles Cass. Kimmel, the freshman, continuing to play a big role for the Blue Jays.
The first freshman in Hopkins history to win a game in overtime in the NCAAs. That happened last week. Kristen Truns brings it to the offensive end, wins the faceoff for the X for Georgetown. Kimmel from Towson, Maryland, and as Mark said, Loyola High School. Casey grabbed that on the move, was nailed, and a push call will go against Hopkins. No penalty flag is dropped. Georgetown re-triggers. Thought it was interesting. We spoke with Michael Kimmel and Stephen Boyle yesterday, Dave Petromal this week, about the welcome party that awaits the freshmen when they first arrive on the Hopkins campus. Mark, you know, you played there. So the veterans are there to help unpack all the bags and get the freshmen in the correct room and get all acclimated.
Yeah, the word that Coach Petromali used to describe Hopkins lacrosse, his family, and what better illustration of when you move in.
Ken, nice move. Great save by Schwartzman.
The upperclassmen making themselves available to not only greet the players, but their parents, introduce themselves and let them know that the kids will be in good hands. And then they help them get set up in their freshman dorm. So a real nice touch to welcoming newcomers to the Hopkins program.
And the freshmen have certainly taken the lead for Johns Hopkins. Another goal scored here. Kimmel to make it 7-2. Brancaccio looking for a second. Flags fly. And Schwartzman may be hurt on that shot.
Schwartzman goes down. He saved it with his body. We're going to have a slashing call as Brancaccio got smacked right across the face mask of his helmet. So Georgetown will have another man-up advantage. Nice play by Brancaccio. Full head of steam. Gets by the defender. There it is right there. The smack in the side of the head by Andrew Miller, who was called a little bit flat-footed that time. And if you want to play defense against Brancaccio, you got to have your feet moving, because that's 6'3", 220 pounds coming at you at a high rate of speed.
1 minute penalty against Hopkins. Georgetown about 29%, but so far they've whiffed on their 3 tries.
Yeah, 0 for 3. We just saw the graphic. They've had 6 shots, and that says a lot considering they were up for a man for 3 minutes.
Casey works around the box. Down in front, they work for Casey. Try the quick stick, stopped by Schwartzman. Ball's loose. Comes back to Trevor Casey. Jumps into a shot, sails over the crossbar, backed up by Cannon. And the Hoyas keep it on the man up.
Beautiful feed inside, and a great save by Jesse Schwartzman. who's showing a little bit of athleticism by venturing far from his crease area. Of course, when the goalie is not ready to resume play, he's given 5 seconds to return to his crease.
He's got 11 saves so far. Brancaccio works for Baird. Here come the Hoyas again. Chase Gahan. Schwartzman shuts down Georgetown. Here's Austin Walker. And a brother played at Army, a great career there. Rips that shot well wide. Austin's dad, Wesley. An amazing wide receiver with the New York Jets in the NFL.
Yeah, Austin Walker's a player who really stepped up in the middle of the season. 2 goals against the University of Maryland. Then injured his groin, pulled his groin, and slowly but surely he's been working his way back into the lineup, playing the role of designated clear here today for the Blue Jays.
Johns Hopkins in control. Ryan Still and Brancaccio only goal scorers on the day for Georgetown. Brancaccio in the first, Still here in the third. Big day for Byrne and for Huntley, 2 goals each. That shot off the side of the net. Cass trying to make the stop. Here's Lamb. Off of Ryan Still, did have the second tally of the day for Georgetown, then passes up ahead, but his teammate not ready for the ball there. Chris Nixon didn't see it coming, battle at midfield, a lot of contact, whistle stops play, and Georgetown has it.
Yeah, Georgetown's hustle has been extraordinary today, but their execution has just been not on kilter.
Cannon behind the cage. Greg Dowd had the hat trick last week against Princeton. Shut out this week, though. Georgetown, by nature, not a high-tempo type team. They're a deliberate half-field offensive squad. We've seen some very good execution with their offense. They just can't cash in thanks to good D and Jesse Schwartzman. Molinari scores. Cullen Molinari on the move. Does beat Jesse Schwartzman there for the Hoyas' third of the day.
Nice play by Molinari, taking matters into his own hands. His 8th goal of the season. The talented sophomore out of Manhasset just beats Andrew Miller down the side with speed. And look at him get that stick back. Miller tried for the trail check, and look at the accuracy of that shot. Far post, nestles inside that far pipe. Beautiful shot by Molinari.
A business major at Georgetown from Manhasset, Long Island. Also a football, lacrosse, indoor track and field star in high school. A 2-time All-State All-American performer on the island. Yet another marquee recruit Dave Urick has brought into Georgetown.
This is the point in the game, Dave, where Georgetown needs to make a run. They need to put together 2-3 goals and really get some momentum and get the Blue Jays thinking about it and on their heels somewhat.
Molinari's pass there to Dowd. Craig climbing the ladder and grab it. Bachlet all over him. Cannon, the spin move. Dodges to try to get free. It's not easy. Blocked there by Evans. And here's Bachlet. And the long stick defense, a close D for Hopkins, a big story. They lost Matt Drennan in fall ball in a drill, tore his ACL out for the entire year. And then Eric Zerlot tore his ACL in the spring. He has come back. And speaking of coming back, how about Huntley? A hat trick for him. The disappointment forgotten for Kevin Huntley, his third of the day.
And Hopkins taking advantage of the slow break. Hopkins can run when they see an opening, when they see an opportunity, but the slow break, you hit the point man. The feed over to George Castle, who smartly deposits it down to Kevin Huntley. Time and room, Huntley steps in with that big left-handed shot. 17th of the season, his third today. Kevin Huntley, after the disappointing regular season, a couple of assists last week against Notre Dame, now 3 goals against Georgetown.
Who's got possession? Ehrman trying to grab it with a long stick. Here's down behind the Hopkins cage, trying to back in and create. Schwartzman says no. Jesse Schwartzman, a great play to cut down the angle. Now the ball's loose. Cannon trying to find the ground ball. Who is there? Zerlot.
Flag down, slow whistle, penalty coming up against Georgetown.
Hopkins can attack. Kimmel thinking about another. Yeah, the Hopkins scoring going in this second half. Under 3 to go in the third quarter. Hopkins in control. Another penalty flag coming. It'll be a second foul on Georgetown. Stevenson this time the guilty party.
One of the benefits of the slow whistle is when you already have a flag down that denotes possession, so no matter what happens, you're going to get the ball back. But an advantage of the continuation of play is you can draw additional fouls. So initially, I think it's a slash on the riding effort by the Georgetown Hoyas, and then Michael Kimmel gets held as Dave Urick's looking for an explanation, some clarification from the officials. So Hopkins will be 2 men up right now for up to 1 minute.
6 on for Lacrosse, and what an opportunity for Hopkins to continue with a knockout punch here. Already in command in this one.
I stand corrected, both fouls of a technical variety, so 2 30-second fouls.
Quick stick try in front. And the loose ball comes away to Georgetown. Michael Doniger on the man up, trying to cash in front. Here's Steve Bauer, the long stick. Outlet pass, and a penalty flag flies. A lot of contact there involving Baird and Kimmel. And it looks like Kimmel is being penalized for a slash.
Referees tightening up their belts here a little bit in the third quarter, calling things a little tighter. Here we see Michael Kimmel. He'll go off the field and spend up to a minute in the sin bin. It's going to be a slash against the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. So Georgetown, they thwart the 2-man advantage by Johns Hopkins. Not only that, they benefit from a slash against the Blue Jays. So Georgetown will be down for 2 men for 1 second.
2:16 to go in our third quarter. We're coming to you from Princeton Stadium, the Princeton campus. Dave Petramala and Johns Hopkins, 8-time national champs. 36th straight year in the NCAA tournament. He's hot under the collar, despite the fact his team has the 5-goal lead. Always intense on the opposite side of the spectrum, Dave Urick. Always cool, calm, and collected. 5-goal lead for Hopkins. You're watching the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships.
Title contenders from the nation's top schools compete on the court. The NCAA Women's Tennis Championships, tonight at 7 on ESPNU.
Delaware does battle with longtime lacrosse powerhouse Johns Hopkins. Then Cornell faces off against #1 seeded Duke. Division I NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship. Semifinal action begins Saturday at noon on ESPN2.
ESPNU brings you college sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The passion, the anticipation, the excitement.
Wide open touchdown.
Every season.
This is for 3. Count it.
Every reason to watch.
That's gonna do it.
Every sport all year round. Tonight, the NCAA Tennis Championships from the University of Georgia. At 7, the women's team final. Then at 10, the men's team final. ESPNU, always in season.
Homeowners, want to refinance and get cash? Countrywide has a great reason to do it now. A no-cost refi. It has no points, no application fee, no credit reporting fee, and no third-party fees, no title, escrow, or appraisal fees. Absolutely no closing costs, so you'll wind up with a lot more cash. Call now and ask for a no-cost refi. We're America's #1 home loan lender, and no one can do what Countrywide can. Call 1-800-641-7136. Homeowners, how many payments do you make every month? Your mortgage, your second mortgage, your car loan? And how many credit card bills do you pay? Call Countrywide. Get a combo loan. It combines all those bills into one low payment. How much lower? It could save you hundreds of dollars every month. So call now and ask for a combo loan. We're America's #1 home loan lender, and no one can do what Countrywide can. Call 1-800-641-1826.
Jesse Schwartzman, over 400 career saves at Johns Hopkins, entering the NCAA tournament. 8th on the list with 465 saves. Our Quint Kesnick, colleague on ESPN's broadcast, 4th all-time. Jesse's been tough today here, Mark.
He really has. You know, he's only lost 1 game in his career in the playoffs, and it was last year against Syracuse in the quarterfinals. But he has come to play after an inconsistent 2007. His starting job was up in the air late in the season, but Jesse Schwartzman showing why he is an All-American goaltender, 13 saves on 16 shots on goal for the 2005 most outstanding player in the NCAA tournament.
Miles Cass's counterpart, 5 saves, 13 shots on cage for Georgetown. Casey re-triggers, just over 2 to go, third quarter. Back to even strength.
We're even strength right now, 5-on-5. And Georgetown, I guess that foul was a minute against the Georgetown Hoyas, the initial one. So after that 30 seconds, they will be man up.
Top of the box, that shot ripped right on. But it's denied again. Wilson trying to find the range for Georgetown, cannot. Bachlet with a long stick, under 2 to go, third quarter. Ehrman from behind, rips the stick out of his hands. Barney Ehrman with that flaming red hair. You just never know when he's going to come and get you. He is everywhere on the field. Big play for Georgetown that maybe gives him a spark.
And Ehrman was the man released from the box when the penalty expired, so he made a beeline to Matt Bachlet. Great takeaway check, getting possession back over to Georgetown, and now a man-up opportunity.
Brancaccio crosses pass with Baird, cranks his big shot, blocked, never got there. What a play by Eric Zerlot again. Torn ACL has come all the way back to play this year. Miller on the move. Things unsettled. He scores! Andrew Miller, the defensive midi, and the sophomore has his first. Everyone getting in on the act for Johns Hopkins.
Again, some transition for the Blue Jays, the slow break. And you have to like the way that the midfielders fill the lanes for the Blue Jays. Zerlot pulls it out, recognizes his trail. Andrew Miller's behind him, and Miller had one of 2 options, shoot or feed to Huntley. He takes option A, beats Miles Cass for his first goal of the season. So Miller, short stick defensive midfielder with a goal. George Castle, his counterpart in the SSDM category, with an assist.
Pizer and Truns take the draw on the X, Steven Pizer. And his mom, dad, brothers are here, sister we told you about. Everyone in the family has played college lacrosse. 2 brothers at Johns Hopkins. Sister played at Lafayette College in Pennsylvania. Talk about running in the family. I mean, that is something. We met Mom Barbara this morning at the team hotel. She was pretty nervous about the big day, hoping this wouldn't be the last game of Stevens' season. Sharp angle shot. Look at Huntley go. The slump is over. Kevin Huntley's got 4 on the day.
Right now, the Johns Hopkins shooters have Miles Cass thinking and guessing. We're going to see just a nice dodge from Rabel. The slide comes. Miles Cass ducks his head instead of standing in tall. There you see it right there. He baited Huntley to shoot high. Huntley takes the bait and wins the gamble, scoring his 4th of the afternoon off of the assist, the 2nd of the game for Paul Rabel.
We've had long discussions, Mark, this year with Hopkins coach Dave Petromal about the season Huntley has had. He's just been so disappointed with his junior attackman, with his shot percentage, just taking ill-advised shots, missing the cage a lot. That has not been the case today. Bachlet, nice takeaway, throws, however, to no one. Byrne was not out of the bench area yet in time. And although it won't trickle over the end line, now it does, barely.
It took
Jerry Lamb makes sure that Byrne can't get to it. Final second will expire here, and that'll do it for 3 quarters from Princeton. Jesse Schwartzman, great in the nets. Kevin Huntley, slump buster. 4 goals today. And that's why Hopkins has a 7-goal lead on Georgetown. 15 minutes away from just heading across town. That's their road to Baltimore and this year's national semifinals. 10-3, 3 complete. You're watching the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships.
The repeat does for under 17,000.
These are our seats right here.
Yes? Oh!
for the same price as here.
Peanuts.
Why wouldn't you?
Oh, it's the same with auto insurance. With discounts up to 40%, it's possible to get the personal service of a State Farm agent for the same or less than those other guys. Call an agent 24/7 or visit statefarm.com.
What if kids didn't have what it takes to play sports? No game-winning goals. No buzzer beaters. Thanks to charitable donations by Dick's Sporting Goods Community Youth Sports Program, this year, over 1 million kids will get the chance to play. And their biggest fans, including parents like us, will get the chance to cheer them on.
Hey, you want to see something cool?
Now you can hang out with an NFL quarterback.
Hey, I'm coming to your house.
Fathead is a larger-than-life limited edition wall graphic that brings all the NFL action right into your home or office.
Fathead is huge. That's how big a fathead is.
Just peel and place. Fathead is easy to put up and can be moved over and over.
Coolest thing is, put it on the wall. You don't like it there? Peel it off. Put it on another wall.
Too big and real for stores. Fathead.com's where you can also find all your favorite players and teams. Officially licensed by the Collegiate Licensing Company, NASCAR, the NBA, the NFL, and Players Inc.
Fathead is the coolest thing out right now. Call and get a fat head.
Fathead are for true NFL fans only.
Take those posters off the wall, kick them out, and put on Fathead.
Fathead. Go big. Real big.
You call me a fathead? Hello, people in TV land, get a fathead.
Welcome back to the NCAA Lacrosse Championships coverage presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Johns Hopkins 15 minutes away from the road to Baltimore, which is what, Mark? 5 miles, 6 miles from campus. It's really close. M&T Bank Stadium in the Johns Hopkins campus. Beautiful area of Baltimore where the campus sits. Don't forget, Sunday noon Eastern time, check your local listings in your area. UMBC Delaware, great matchup of two Cinderella stories. UMBC upset Maryland last weekend at Byrd Stadium in College Park 13-9. Jeremy Blevins was awesome in goal. Quentin Kesting and I called that game. 23 minutes, 14 seconds of shutout lacrosse. For more on that game and much more of the 07 Lacrosse Championships, go to NCAAsports.com, the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. Delaware knocked off Virginia, the defending national champs. Mark, you saw that game 14-8 last weekend in Charlottesville.
Yeah, great game, just attacking all over the field. It's a terrific matchup. Blevins and Tommy Scher, the goaltender for Delaware, will have to be on their game tomorrow. And will UMBC have any answer for the dominant faceoff man for the Blue Hens, Alex Smith? Remains to be seen.
More than 70% career faceoffs won. All-time leader, NCAA history. Jake Samperton carries. Watched by Zerlot. Fall ball toward the ACL has come all the way back to play for Johns Hopkins. And Dave Petromal has called that his most inspirational story of this 07 season. They try the quick stick play to Diagnis, but he can't find the handle. Stevenson with a long stick grabs it. However, Georgetown is offsides.
Jerry Lamb thought the midfielder had crossed over the center line. That's why he went and picked up that ground ball, but no one had. Loose ball, Georgetown offsides, possession over to Johns Hopkins.
Miles Cass will face the Hopkins offense, which has been led today by Kevin Huntley. 4-1 for 5 points. Well-documented struggles this year for him offensively. His 14 goals coming into the NCAA tournament after 30 a year ago, and relied heavily upon to produce from his position this year.
And he's been very efficient here today. 6 shots, 4 goals, 1 assist for the junior out of Calvert Hall in Maryland. Played for Brian Kelly, former North Carolina Tar Heel, national champion in 1991. So Huntley doing an outstanding job here this afternoon.
Rabel top of the box, trying to get free for his first of the day. Bounce shot over the crossbar, well over the head of Miles Cass, the goaltender for Georgetown.
You talk about high school teams, Farmingdale's class of a few years ago, Jerry Lamb and Brendan Skacandy for Hopkins, part of that senior unit in 2003 for Farmingdale, but also Matt Danowski of Duke. Stephen Panarelli from Syracuse.
Wow.
You also have Oblodge and Engelke from Towson. So that was just a loaded bunch. That's just a fraction of the players that went Division I off of that team.
Kimmel has a defense fall in front of him and still Great feed. Huntley trying to flip that little underhand shot by the reach of Cass, bidding for his 5th of the game. So Kevin Huntley, who had 3 assists last week against Notre Dame, now has 5 points tonight. Piling him up here in 2 games after a difficult season. Beyond the reach there, a Boyle turnover. And Georgetown a chance to clear.
Those are the types of plays you can't make if you're Hopkins. Just giveaways to a tough Georgetown team who still has 12 minutes and 22 seconds left to get something going. But when you just give it back to him like that, that's never good.
Steve Bauer clearing pass across the midfield line. 10 more seconds now to get it into the box. And still does just that, watched by Rabel. Here come the Hoyas in a lot of trouble. They need a rally in a hurry. Garrett Wilson carries, top left-hand corner of the box, leaves off for Casey. Casey's shut out as well today. They work in front, and they score. Wilson's got it. Garrett Wilson. 4th Georgetown tally of the afternoon.
And Hopkins that time doing a little bit of ball watching. We saw a couple of goals in our first game that resulted or were a result of ball watching. And here, Casey just a nice strong move, gets a step on his man, finds Wilson inside, and Wilson realizes he doesn't have much angle, puts it behind his back. A nifty shot, beautiful location as he got inside of Bocklet. So Garrett Wilson, his first this afternoon, his 8th of the year. Let's see if that breaks the ice for this Hoya offense.
Jamison, Kester, and Truns head-to-head face-off X. Trevor Casey picks up a helper on the Wilson tally. Behind the back shot, that was sweet to watch. Here is Kester from Cazenovia, New York, not far from Syracuse. Cazenovia Laker in high school, good football player there too. He's made the switch from midfield to play some long stick this year with all the attrition they've had with injuries. Matt Drennan and Zerlot we talked about tearing ACLs. Drennan, the product from San Diego, expected to be a starting close defender this year, out for the season.
Kester, another one of those selfless guys we talk about, Dave, was on the 2nd midfield unit for the Blue Jays a year ago, picked up the long pole after all the injuries, and then moved just to be a face-off specialist once Michael Evans and Matt Bocklet and Eric Zerlot, really a work in progress all season long, but they came together, and that let Kester just practice and focus on being a face-off man. A real nice leader for the Blue Jay team.
Kester from Central New York, as is Drew Dabrowski, who carried there, number 17 in white. West Genesee product from Camillus, New York. Had a goal last week. Great give-and-go play against Notre Dame. Christopher forgot the ball. Herman all over him. Blind Christopher regains inside the box, charging in. Thought about a shot. And warned by the officials to keep it in, so he'll do that and score! Not only will I keep it inside the box, Mr. Official, I'll take it to the cage and tally, thank you. The 11-4.
Ryan Christopher, after such an outstanding freshman season, which saw him score a goal, I believe, in 12 straight games, is now the headliner for the 2nd midfield unit. Just a great change of direction. Sprints, made an intelligent decision not to shoot at a poor angle initially, comes back and lets the momentum of Jerry Lamb carry himself past Christopher, just stops on a dime, comes back with a great change of direction, sneaks around against Miles Cass. One-on-one, Christopher, his first goal of the afternoon.
Christopher 1-1, 2 points on the day. Yet another Hopkins player getting in on the act offensively. There have been plenty. He's a sophomore from Springfield, Pennsylvania. Hopkins on the move. Look at Kimmel shoot and score. Michael Kimmel. A rocket beating Cass.
This is a goal that was generated off of substitutions. And basically after the face-off win, the Hopkins players beat the Georgetown players to the penalty box or to the substitution area. And Kimmel comes in, no one's within 10 yards of him, steps up with time and room, plants that front foot and just whistles a beeline past Miles Cass. You can see the frustration on Cass. Guys, give me some help here. I'm getting peppered with uncontested shots.
2nd of the day for Kimmel, last week's hero. Won it in overtime for Hopkins in the first round. And they are on the way, it appears, to the national semifinals next weekend in Baltimore. 3 shots, 2 goals, and an assist for Kimmel. What freshman? That's what Dave Petramalo told us this week. The freshmen aren't rookies anymore. Things definitely have changed for them.
They played
Ryan was denied there.
Full season of lacrosse, Dave, and critical contributions at key moments. And after such a long season, you really aren't a freshman anymore, but it's still neat to play in this environment at this level, in this atmosphere. And it's going to be even much more special next weekend in M&T Bank Stadium, whatever teams go.
Cannon feeds out. Quick shot inside. As Still tries to cash in for a second. Good effort. Backed up again by Hopkins. What hustle there from Sam DeVore.
Yeah, another talented freshman out of Ward Melville in New York. DeVore just busts a gut and hustles to the sideline, winning possession back for the Blue Jays. And you can really see this win coming out of the sails of the Georgetown Hoyas over the last 3-4 minutes of this one.
And Cullen Molinari scored with about 4:38 to go in the third, made it 7-3. Had a faint feeling that Georgetown might hang around here, Mark, but since then it has been all Hopkins. Huntley, another one. Huntley's got 4 on the day. Miller getting into the act. And now Michael Kimmel has his 3 points.
And Georgetown never put together any kind of run. They haven't scored consecutive goals all game long. All 4 scores by the Hoyas have been at different junctures, but not consecutive scores, whereas Hopkins, a 6-goal run, then a 3-goal run. Now they're on a 2-goal run, and another man-up opportunity coming for the Blue Jays.
Wilson absolutely collars Mark Bryant on the way through, and a penalty is coming on Georgetown. They'll be down a man here with 8:16 to go. And the frustrations in the quarterfinals, an amazing story. This will be 6 straight losses in the quarters.
There we see Bryant, he gets a step inside, and he just gets collared by Wilson. Penalty on Georgetown.
6 in a row, Mark, in the quarterfinals for Georgetown, unless they can turn that around. It's an amazing streak of futility.
It really is, and it's got to be frustrating. I know Dave Urich said to us he doesn't lose sleep over it. Why dwell on it? But there comes a point in time where psychologically it's got to weigh on you as you enter this quarterfinal matchup. We mentioned Syracuse. It was a given that they'd win this game. It's almost to the point where you're expecting Georgetown to lose just because they're there and can't break through that glass ceiling.
Rabel feeds around the box. That pass errant, though. Kimmel, good effort. Able to keep it in. Great hustle by the freshman Michael Kimmel. Plays it back for Huntley. Hopkins keeps it. 6-on-5 lacrosse rolls on. Rabel gets free. Thought about cranking for a shot. Instead, it's Huntley with another. Kevin Huntley has got 5 on the day.
I think it's fair to say that the most unselfish team in Division I lacrosse are the Cornell Big Red. But taking a page out of that playbook is the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays on this particular sequence. Look at the unselfishness. Byrne could have shot it, gives it up to Rabel, who could have shot it, who then feeds cross field to Huntley, who has the best opportunity of all 3 of them. Time and room, 12 yards, high to high. Huntley, his 5th goal. Rabel, his 3rd assist.
Wow. Rabel, 3 helpers. Huntley, 5 and 1 for 6 points, and the great tic-tac-toe passing continues for Johns Hopkins. Look at the numbers. That's exactly what Dave Petramalo told us this week, Mark. It was so disappointing about Kevin Huntley. Shot percentage way down. Today, through the roof.
Just a great afternoon for the junior. And we talked about the shooting percentage for Georgetown as we see another opportunity. They've actually had some shots on cage here in the second half, but Schwartzman's been there to make the big stops at critical moments.
It was Casey shut down by Jesse Schwartzman again. Huntley has been the story. 15 saves for Schwartzman. That's part of it, but the headline tomorrow in Baltimore will be Kevin Huntley breaking out, and not just a small bust out. This is big time in the NCAA quarterfinals. At least 5 goals today.
Well, we looked at the keys to the game earlier, Dave. Diffuse Cannon, double donuts, no goals, no assists thus far for Brendan Cannon, and handle the Hoya pressure. Hopkins has done that on both ends of the field. And then, of course, a third key is always your goaltending, and Hopkins has gotten a stellar effort from Schwartzman.
Everything is coming together for Hopkins today. Steve Bauer, long stick, grabs it, burst of speed into the offensive zone. He's thinking about a shot, gets through the defense and scores. Steve Bauer with a 6-foot pole. Beat Schwartzman there with a quick shot. The sophomore and brother of Dave Bauer, each from Red Bank, New Jersey.
Well, Bauer missed a shot earlier in the game from about 3 yards out. And here he makes it count with just a beautiful individual effort. Look at the sky whammy. Throws that stick fake. Is able to move Jesse Schwartzman ever so much. Great stick fake. Look at that. Boom. He still has it. Gets Schwartzman to move a little bit to his left. He puts it right. And a beautiful shot by the long pole from Georgetown.
Kesterer battles at midfield. The draw with Rob Dubas. Here's Miller, ground ball. Hopkins gets possession. Can they bring it to the offensive end? Yes, they can, thanks to Andrew Miller. So many different players. So many roles, they perform well. Kester and Miller, two guys won't get a lot of headlines, but there's a good example as Boyle gets bumped of what happens off the wings and the face-off. Those ground balls can win and lose games for you. Timeout call. 6:07 to go, standing between Dave Petramala and the NCAA semifinals next week, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, home of the Ravens. You're watching the NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships.
Maybe your car is trying to tell you something. Maybe it's asking for the hard-working gasoline at Phillips 66. Gas specially formulated to help clean fuel injectors in 5 tanks, which helps you maximize mileage and reduce emissions. Give your car what it's asking for. Give it Phillips 66. Hard-working gas.
Making their first semifinals appearance, Delaware does battle with longtime lacrosse powerhouse Johns Hopkins. Then, fresh off a thrilling overtime victory, Cornell faces off against Matt Danowski and #1 seeded Duke. Division I NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship. Semifinal action begins Saturday at noon and continues at 2:30 on ESPN2. Presented on ESPN by Enterprise Rent.
Homeowners, want to refinance and get cash? Countrywide has a great reason to do it now. A no-cost refi. It has no points, no application fee, no credit reporting fee, and no third-party fees, no title, escrow, or appraisal fees. Absolutely no closing costs, so you wind up with a lot more cash. Call now and ask for a no-cost refi. We're America's #1 home loan lender, and no one can do what Countrywide can. Call 1-800-641-7136.
The biggest threat to our national security is poverty, and that can be cured by education. When a kid doesn't have an education, lack of self-esteem, getting into trouble, making kids, violence, going into jail, that drains from us the strength that we really need. But with that self-esteem and the ability to get a job, access to health care, and decent housing, we can make America all that we want her to be.
13-5, Miles Cass in Georgetown in a huge hole here, late against Johns Hopkins. We had a chance to meet with Miles yesterday. Told us a very interesting story about his summer. As we said earlier, he wasn't hanging out with his friends playing summer box lacrosse or anything like that. He was in Africa with his mother, Barclay. They went to the nation of Mali as part of the Building with Books program. He said it was just an amazing experience, nearly 2 weeks in a remote African village. He learned so much about himself and about teaching others.
And we had a chance to talk to Miles yesterday. Physically imposing for a goaltender, cut like from a sheet of rock, but even more impressive was his personality, his humility, and the way he spoke with us, a young man that really carries himself in a very positive fashion. Miles Cass, an outstanding young student athlete here on the Georgetown lacrosse team.
He said it was an unforgettable experience. His mom has had several different trips to Africa, other parts of the world as part of the Building with Books educational program, and he has plans to look into a trip to South America this summer. A lot more beyond just shots and saves in the world of Miles Cass.
Well, and all these kids are terrific kids, but most of them go to the beach for the summer or take an internship on Wall Street.
Pizer scores. Steven Pizer makes the day longer for Miles Cass and brings him closer to what could be a trip to South America.
Yeah, and Pizer has done such a great job at the faceoff square all afternoon. Finally gets his scoring opportunity and just makes the most of it. Just a simple split dodge from the wing area, a full head of steam, dusts his defender. And look at the placement on that shot. Far post, off hip, picture perfect as Steven Pizer gets Hopkins their 14th goal of the afternoon.
8 different goal scorers in the game, Mark, for Johns Hopkins. Talk about balance. So many different players contributing. And the lead back up to 9. Here's Erman with a long stick for Georgetown. And what will be the final minutes of their season. Dubas gets hammered from behind. Hopkins still hitting hard. Push is called against Johns Hopkins.
And to finish the point about summer jobs, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing those types of things, playing ball and going to the beach or taking an internship. But when you talk to Miles Cass, just the conviction in his voice. And the earnestness and just with the humility that he displayed. He's a special kid and he's doing some great things along with his mother in Africa and future in South America.
He was kind of bashful with us yesterday talking about it. Didn't want to get the accolades, all the attention, but said it was just unforgettable. What an experience for him. Cannon shut down today. Nothing going on for him offensively. He'll try to work that on the move. And Baird can't find the clean handle. Backed up, though, by Georgetown. Under 5 to go, apparently, in their season. Cannon shot, bouncer. It's stopped by Schwartzman again.
Cannon just trying to make something happen.
We're at Princeton Stadium here in New Jersey on the Princeton campus. Dave, Ryan, Mark Dixon, our entire crew. The winner will take on UMBC or Delaware in the next round, the national semis. It appears it will be Johns Hopkins. Cornell has won already today. They'll take on the victor of the Duke, North Carolina game taking place tomorrow at Navy. That'll be a great matchup. 2 great games on tap tomorrow as well at the Naval Academy. Samperton tries to sneak through on Schwartzman, who continues his excellence. He has been fabulous in this game, especially in the second half.
He really has. And when you think about 2007, the landscape of college lacrosse, the Inside Lacrosse Face-Off Classic back in March with the Big Four, Princeton, Johns Hopkins, Virginia, and Syracuse. The only one still standing is Johns Hopkins. And in form with all the upsets that we've seen this year, quote-unquote upsets, UMBC, Delaware, 2 Cinderella stories, Cornell representing some fresh blood, getting to M&T Bank Stadium.
Cannon saved again by Schwartzman, who's had his number all day. Kosas a big hit there on Evans, and the two will exchange some words. And Wilson may have taken a pop there as Garrett is limping. Samperton re-triggers behind the cage. Wilson shot. Brendan Candy bolting out to get stick on stick there, help divert the shot wide.
Hopkins playing a little zone defense here, packing it in real tight.
Picked off by Backlund. All Hopkins. Really, since that first goal by Brancaccio, there's a steal. Some pressure on the ride. And the shot sent just wide. Can you believe Baird missed a target? One-on-one with Schwartzman.
That's
nothing going well for Andrew Baird in Georgetown today.
And that's what happens when you have a hot goaltender. He gets you thinking about everything. We saw it last weekend in Charlottesville. Danny Gladding one-on-one with Tommy Scher. Here we see the nice ride by Cannon. Unselfish gives it up to Baird, who just shoots it wide. And Andrew says, man, I wish I could have that one back.
Timeout called by Dave Petramala and Johns Hopkins. We talked about the Hopkins story with Ben O'Neill and their new motivation. We'll tell you about the O'Neill story, and I can't wait for the Shakespeare quote. I want you to evaluate my Shakespeare reading after we show you the Warrior great save of the day here at Princeton. Andrew Schwartzman, older brother of Jesse Schwartzman, won a game here for Maryland a couple years ago. Well, younger bro has been great all day long.
He really has. playing up to his capabilities. When he was going through his slump, Stephen Pizer got in his face, well documented. You're an All-American goaltender. You're the MVP of a national championship team. Start playing like it. And Jesse Schwartzman has responded from that personal challenge.
So there is Ben O'Neill, a junior long stick defensive midi from Oakton, Virginia. He was the one who researched the Shakespeare quote we told you about. And the new placard over the door, locker room leading onto the field at Homewood Field. The players all touch that before they go on. Are you ready? From this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I guarantee the first time you've heard Shakespeare on a lacrosse broadcast. Has to be. But the Band of Brothers is a big theme with Johns Hopkins. They have the wristbands. They have T-shirts that say 53 on them for all the players on the team. And a new goalie in here for Johns Hopkins.
Michael Gavazden, a talented freshman, one of the top 10 freshmen preseason, according to Inside Lacrosse Magazine. Won a state championship last year for Severna Park High School. A stone's throw away from Navy Marine Corps Stadium in Anne Arundel County, where we'll be tomorrow for the quarterfinal action.
Samperton trying to get free on the new goalie. So there was some goalie controversy as Gavazden has it here in the final moments. And he actually got to play against Mount St. Mary's.
Yeah, 3 games where Gavazden warmed up on the sideline for Johns Hopkins. And against Mount St. Mary's, the intention was to play him for a half, but Schwartzman gave up 2 early ones that he should have had. And Dave Petramala got the hook out, pulled the senior in favor of the freshman. And then that week in practice, the next couple of days before the Loyola game, it was an open competition between the freshman and senior. Schwartzman won that competition again and has played well, but Gavazden, the future is bright between the pipes for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays with Gavazden manning the nets.
That shows you the high standards that are set for your alma mater, Mark. I mean, the team was doing pretty well at that point. Jesse Schwartzman has 1 career loss as Walker carries here for Hopkins in the NCAA playoffs, but was not up to snuff to Hopkins standards, and Dave Petramala actually sat him after a shaky start against Mount St. Mary's. That's a game they won handily anyway, but the message was clearly sent to Jesse Schwartzman, you better keep working hard.
Yeah, message sent to Schwartzman, message sent to the team that we have somebody capable, and the message will receive loud and clear by the senior out of Pikesville.
Quite a scrum here involving both teams. Christopher comes away with it. Finally, the whistle call will go against Hopkins. Just over a minute to go, and Jesse Schwartzman reads in the smile. His brother won an overtime game for Maryland here 2 years ago, this very stadium, and today he's the hero for Hopkins. Keeping it going to the Schwartzman family. Casey, a bounce shot on Gavazden, and he does score. Finally something for Trevor Casey in the playoffs.
We'll talk about a selfless player, Trevor Casey, with the emergence of Craig Dowd on the attack, switched to midfield for Dave Urich early in the season with nary a peep of contention. And here, just a straight bull dodge, sprints right past the defense of George Castle, and Gavazden comes off the pipe there to give Casey, the senior, an excellent scoring opportunity, and he cashes in.
Procedure call will go against Georgetown with 48 ticks to go in this game. Hopkins will keep the win streak going. They've been red hot. This will be 7 straight. An 8-game win streak will end for the Hoyas. And the extraordinary futility quarterfinal games, 6 in a row. That streak, unfortunately for the Hoyas, will continue.
Here we see some reserves for Hopkins getting some minutes. Michael Powers, a freshman out of New York, an excellent story. Cancer in his leg. Fighting through that to enjoy his freshman season here at Homewood.
They'll be heading back there tonight. Route 95 South back to their campus. And enjoy this victory because Johns Hopkins will win another quarterfinal game and have a chance just a few miles from their campus to play for the national championship. They'll bid for a 9th in school history. That would tie Syracuse for the all-time record. Final seconds melt away. It's official. Johns Hopkins headed to the national semifinals. Their road to Baltimore is complete.